Today we're going to talk about two fundamental product management aspects: 10x thinking and focused execution. What is going on, everybody? My name is Alex. Welcome to another video. If this is your first time here, you want to learn about product management, business, finance, how to get into the top tech companies, make sure you subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. As always, smash the like button and share with your friends who are interested in these topics. We're going to start a new series where we're going to talk about product management fundamentals, some basic tenets of product management that we can discuss the pros and cons of each. Let me know down in the comments what concepts of product management you'd like to disassemble, and we'll tackle those topics next. Today, we're going to be talking about 10x thinking and focused execution. So first, what is 10x thinking? 10x thinking means revolutionary thinking as opposed to evolutionary thinking. Not an iterative approach, but a more fundamental change. You want to make something 10 times faster, 10 times bigger, or cheaper, or more enjoyable. There's a couple of things to unpack here. First of all, you need a 10x advantage in some area in order to actually stand out from the competition. If you're building a product, you're offering a solution to a problem that users have, but you do some aspect of it 10 times better than the competition, usually that's going to be good enough to differentiate you from the rest of the pack. More importantly, specifically in the field of product management, especially in top tech companies today, the reason why you need to keep thinking 10x is because of how much complexity there is around these products, how much complexity there is about delivering products of any type at this scale of tech companies today. Amazon, Facebook, Google, all of these companies are reaching millions, hundreds of millions, and billions of users. And if you want to be able to make the lives of those users better, you've got to be thinking in big, bold ideas. And so if you're operating at huge scale, in order for you to launch anything at that scale is going to require tremendous collaboration and cooperation with a ton of other people. And if you've ever tried to launch something at all in any company, big or small, you know how difficult it is to actually get the concept across the finish line, the execution piece of it. The bigger the company is, the bigger the organization is, organizational complexity creeps in, bureaucracy creeps in, and some of it is necessary. As the company gets bigger, sometimes there's nothing you can do. It just is harder to organize many people to work on something together. So if you're going to go to all that effort to align everybody on the same page, get everybody working towards the same vision, and actually execute and build something and launch it to your users, do you want that to be something iterative or something big? If the minimum level of effort required is humongous anyway, then you might as well be working on big things. And that's basically the main reason why 10x thinking is so important. You've got to bring your big, bold ideas to the table, whether at the interview or when you're actually on the job. Think big and deliver the maximum impact you can. In order to do this, it actually helps to think from first principles. Elon Musk popularized this notion, but certainly first principles is nothing new. The idea of starting from something that you know to be true. When you're faced with a problem, when a coworker brings you an obstacle, there's a bug, there's an issue, there's a customer problem, your leaders are not sure what you're building, you're not sure, you and your team are not sure what you're building, go and ask the fundamental questions. What do we know to be true? Start from the very basics. A lot of the times when we're looking at product features, we're going to be thinking, okay, why does the user want to do this feature? They want to open this, or they want to send that file, or they want to share with this colleague, for instance. Whatever feature you're looking at, it can be tempting to just look at that feature instead of asking, why is the user doing any of this? What is the actual motivation? What's behind all this? What do we know to be true for sure? Always go back to the basics. Always look for the extra why behind the why, for the motivation of why anybody does anything, and you'll get the idea of first principles. Don't do anything that doesn't have a clear reason, clear logic behind it. And by the way, consumer behavior is often not logical. That's okay, as long as you stay with first principles. When you know something fundamentally, go with that. Now, practically, how do you actually approach 10x thinking? How do you get yourself to start thinking 10x? You can actually just take any dimension or attribute of whatever project, feature, or issue you're talking about and multiply it by 10. So you break down the issue into its smaller components, and you can break those further into subcomponents, and then see what happens if you maximize or minimize by a factor of 10 any one of those attributes. What happens with a project? This comes up a lot in interviews because you have a limited amount of time to speak on a subject of design this product or improve that product or tell me about this business strategy. And you've got to look at as many attributes of this thing that you're analyzing, this business, product, or user sentiment, break it down into subcomponents, and see if you can tweak any attributes to 10x in size. What happens with that? How do you build for that? If you wanted to sell 10 times as many units, or 10 times cheaper, or you wanted to make the delivery 10 times faster, how would you do that? Start from that and let the ideas flow from there. Now let's talk about the concept of focused execution. You can think of it as the flip side of 10x thinking. Yes, it's important to come up with an awesome idea or an awesome twist on an idea or a 10x improvement on an existing product or concept, but eventually, really it comes down to execution. Focused execution is the ability to actually take an idea and concept and see it through all the way to launch when users are interacting with your product. Now, there's a couple of interesting aspects here. The first one is launch is pretty ambiguous. It could mean the first time that any users are interacting with your product and you're getting some actual feedback and potentially they are solving their problem with the solution that your product offers. But it could also mean global launch with millions and tens of millions of users and customers. Those are two entirely different things, but interestingly enough, both of them can be considered launches because your product is live. So when I talk about focused execution, I'm talking about getting from 0 to 1, from idea to launch, from concepts to users interacting with your product. If you've been in business and product management long enough, you'll know that ideas mean almost nothing and execution means everything. And that sometimes doesn't sit right with people when they want to come up with a brilliant idea or they see someone doing something and they say, well, I actually came up with that first. But ideas are actually not as important as execution, not even close. One of the fundamental tenets of a product manager is someone who can execute an idea, who can actually get it from 0 to 1, from an idea to an actual product. And that execution is the most difficult thing, and that's the thing that we need to focus on, and hence the concept of focused execution. It can be tempting to tinker with the product some more, test it some more, and that's why execution is so difficult to actually see things through all the way. Now let's talk a little bit about attention to detail in context of this idea of actually getting things done. We're going to do a separate video talking about attention to detail. I will link it up there once we have the video. But for now, suffice it to say that attention to detail is an important facet of product management. However, it can actually stop execution from happening. Too much attention to detail, especially early on in the life cycle of a product, especially before the product has had any users interacting with it, is deadly dangerous. I'm sure I'm going to get some disagreements in the comments below. Let me know if you have a different stance on attention to detail, but you only need to focus on 20% of those details that are going to get you 80% return. And in the context of a product, that means that you should focus on only the 20% of effort that's going to get you 80% of what the user benefit is going to be from using your solution, from using your product. Very important to stay focused on those details. I'm not talking about making sure that everything's the exact right shade of blue or everything's lined up exactly as it should be, or that the product does absolutely everything, all of the features that you dreamed up initially exist in the product when it first launches. No, the idea here is to execute on the fundamental problem that your product solves and nothing else. If you want to build the place to buy anything online, you can just start from selling books online, as an example. Even though your big vision may be to sell everything, you'll start small, like Amazon. So be careful about attention to detail. A little bit is good, too much can be stifling to getting everybody moving towards execution, towards getting to launch. Education versus execution. This is another interesting topic. Sometimes, especially on YouTube, it can be addictive to keep watching another video to learn a little bit more. And I absolutely do want you to watch some more of these product management videos, but I also want you to take a break and actually build something, actually focus on the execution. Whatever it is you're working today, you want to work on your resume, or you want to make progress on your startup, or reorganize some thoughts around your roadmap, or the way that you're approaching a certain product design, go ahead and do that now. You can stop the video right here, pause, do that, feel free to come back a little bit later. You want to have a nice balance of education and execution. Now, going too much in education, you're watching videos, you're reading books, you're trying to analyze everything, you're trying to take everything in, and you never actually take the step to do the work, that's bad. Only doing the work without actually leaving time to educate yourself on other areas that you may not know, that's also bad. Sometimes you've got to sharpen the saw also. Make sure you're aligned, make sure you're going in the right direction. There should be a nice balance between education and execution. Next, you probably heard this before. When you're going from 0 to 1, when you're just building something, a first version of something, and you don't know whether this concept, this idea actually will do the thing that you think users want, you haven't launched the product yet, you've got no actual user feedback, it's almost always better to launch faster. Whatever it is you're thinking about, it's better to cut that feature and go faster. It's better not to spend that time tweaking your logo designs or adding in additional features on top of your main ask. If you want to test a hypothesis of whether the market, the users actually need your solution that you're building to their problem, you've got to get it out there as soon as possible. So there's places like Product Hunt. I'm happy to look at any startup ideas or concept that you're building on and give you some early feedback. Maybe we could do a live show. We get the audience involved. They can listen in and give you some live feedback. We've got to get users interacting with your product as soon as possible. When you're making iteration version 14.3, it is not always better to go faster. Facebook initially had move fast and break things as their design, and it helped put them in a dominating position. But after a series of mishaps, it switched to just move fast, because the assumption is you're being a little bit more careful, and that's totally fine, as you are now this giant company with hundreds of products that are impacting billions of people all over the world. Most of us are going to be starting with small products or small features within a product. If you're working on a mid-sized company or even a big company, a lot of times we'll start from small feature set before you own the entire product. So go fast, get to market, get actual users using it. Don't trust the data that does not come from an actual user interacting with your product. And don't delay. Focused execution is extremely important when you bring in the first iteration of something to market. There is one caveat. Don't go so fast that you actually lose the main thing that is in your product. What is the one main thing that your product's supposed to do? What is the solution that it offers to what problem? As long as you have that captured, everything else can be removed from that initial version. That's why we call it an MVP, minimum viable product. The point there is that yes, you want it to be viable, but the larger issue is you wanted to actually propose the solution that you wanted for this problem, so that when you launch it, you can tell whether users do enjoy it, do use it, or not. And you can learn from there. And again, we can go back to that first principles idea. Whenever something causes a delay in your launch and you're not sure whether you can launch, or whether you should go back, or whether you should add this feature or not add this feature, just ask yourself the fundamental question. First principles. What do we know to be true? What is the problem that you're trying to address in the market? What is your solution? Do you need these things that you're talking about right now for your solution to that problem? If no, you can cut it, keep moving. You should be able to get to market ASAP. As an example, I found that there's very little practical product management videos on YouTube where people are discussing actual products or an actual situation. For instance, I'm trying to get a job as a product manager. Here's my specific situation. I worked in these companies. Now I want to do this. Or I'm helping a small company. We're working on this product. How do we improve this exact product? And so I want to do these videos. That's why I invite you to sign up in the form below. If you've got ideas for concepts that you're working on, you've got some product management problems you want to work through, we can actually come in, have a one-on-one conversation or a live stream with the audience involved. And then after we have our discussion, hopefully we improve the product, get you answers to your questions, but then we'll do videos about it so that other people can learn from that as well. And I launched that this morning, and I want you to sign up for it right here. And together, we can get some practical examples of product management on YouTube. So let's do that together. Make sure you fill out the form below. I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button as always. And of course, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.